Hi and welcome to the second part of the live playing video, and this is Oscar, aka I'm from Sweden, for Poker VIP. So in the first video we had some ups and downs, some interesting hands, some bluffs, all that good stuff. So let's hope we get some interesting hands in this second part as well. But if you haven't checked out the first part, I encourage you to do so first, because we get to know a few of the players beforehand, which might be good in some spots. So with that said, I'm just going to start the video and we'll see what happens. So we're picking up jacks. We're playing this guy, BB Rugby, heads up. We did it a bit in the last video as well. Just trying to start some tables, but 6 tables with 2 heads up is sometimes a bit much, especially for a video, so might only play him on 1 table. Top right table, we call a 3-bet from the small blind with Queen 9. It's pretty standard. Flop is quite good for us, and he has a small stack. Generally I tend to call all the draws, but given that he has such a small stack, I think shoving makes more sense. Trying to fold out 2 unpaired high cards. But like if he was like 100 big blinds or something like that, then I would probably just call, because I think he's probably not folding any top pairs or any over pairs, and I think I can get him to fold weaker hands than that by calling. And calling has some distinct advantages, like we want to call our 1 pair hands, so calling draws makes sense, and because we can have a wider range when we call, as well as we can like give him a chance to bluff. Yeah, so it's just generally better to call, but in this spot I think shoving is better, just because he's so short. But unfortunately he has 2 pair and we don't get there, so that can happen. Yeah, we're now officially down. That's okay though. We'll get there. Okay, so player 3 limps under the gun. We flop on open-ended, and I think check calling is better than betting. We can make a case for just stabbing the flop, but I kind of want him to stab himself, because I think that if he ever stabs, then like the chances of us winning the hand is still very high, and then we pick up another bet on the flop. So I mean, I think it's somewhat close, but I think checking is pretty good, just because we have so much equity. Like if we have like 5-6 here, then I'd be more inclined to bet the flop. But with 10-9 I kind of just want to check call and then check call a bunch of turns, just because our hand is really quite good. So I check call flop. Hit a 10 on the river. Could try and bet for value, but I don't think too many worse hands calls. And he's a fish after all, so I guess he can have some kings. And even like a flush draw that is just not semi-bluffing. So I think checking is better. Yeah, we win. Yeah, like he had a6, like he would probably just check back if we no, like he would probably just fold if we decided to bet the flop. So by check calling we induce a small bet and we win anyway when we do hit. But even when we don't hit, like we're definitely planning on betting the river ourselves if we miss, and he's gonna fold all of those hands, so I think check calling is good. We could 3-bet jack deuce, but it's not a great hand, to be honest, and this guy seems a little bit aggro, so we're erring on the side of caution. Flopping an open-ended 10-4. This is interesting. So we see bet the flop, he calls and then donks the turn. Like quite small. It's not sure what he's representing here. I guess he's trying to represent some sort of like 5x that's afraid of us checking back and picking up a free river. Maybe he's being really tricky with a deuce or something. To be honest, I think it looks quite weak. I think he rarely has a deuce here. So I think raising and betting the river is probably quite good. Like, I think he's kind of capped, and whenever someone is capped, you should really consider bluffing. Also think like he has tons of really weak hands. Yeah, he falls pretty quickly, so probably had nothing. It's an interesting play though. I don't see many people even considering doing something like that. So this guy is definitely not your average player. Seems competent. Eights. We're c-betting this board. There's still lots of hands to get value from. Folds though. Yeah, we're gonna play 5 tables, and since this table in the bottom seems to be filling up, we'll just play this one. I didn't open Queen 6, if you notice on the top right, and that's just because, I don't know, I felt like I'd been pretty aggro on that table. I had picked up aces and kings quite often, and I didn't get to show them very often, so they probably think I'm just very aggressive, and so, I don't know, like, they seem to be defending a lot as well, so I think it's okay to fold a hand such as Queen 6. Ace Jack, we check call flop, I think, which is standard, of course. Could, of course, maybe we could check raise, but I think it leads to nothing good. We'll just be in very difficult situations on most turns if he calls. So I think check on is okay. He checks back on the turn. On the river, I don't think he's ever bluffing if we check, so might as well just try to bet and hope he hero calls. Don't really expect to get called very often, but what can you do? He does call though. He had kings. It's 7. I'm just gonna complete the small blind. This guy. Yeah, we're getting there. Shuita to my direct right. He seems quite fishy. I'm getting a good price, so. We have a gutter, but the reg to our left is potting. Oh wow, it's shoving, so. Wonder what the reg had there. I don't expect him to fold a king. The BB guy is from Warsaw. A Pole. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Do I know any Poles? Don't think so. We're defending Queen 10. I think calling is better than 3-betting. Like, some people have this weird strategy where they never 3-bet from the small blind. I even saw some coach making a video about that you should never ever like 3-bet, never call from the small blind. But I think that's just really bad, to be honest. So I think calling has a ton of merit with these hands, because if we 3-bet, then we just hate getting 4-bet, and even if they call, we just, I don't know. I think we're losing more often than not when the stacks go in. And it just plays so well when you call. It can represent so many hands. So we call, hit top pair. Going for the check call, I guess. Oh, he really makes a very big c-bet. He pots it into 3 people. And he seems to be a regular on the nitty side, so this actually has me kind of worried that like he has a really strong hand or a strong draw. So I might fold turn river if he bets, but he checks back the turn. At this point, I don't really expect him to be that strong anymore, just because he always barrels. But he could have, I don't know, Jack 10 or maybe even Ace 10, but probably not. Anyways, I think betting river is a little bit ambitious. I don't really think he has anything that can call us. And by checking, I think that he sometimes bluffs, because it looks like we have some middling pairs and some 5x perhaps. So I think checking is better in this spot. He checks back though. He had ace 4, which is a little bit random. Goes for the pot c-bet with the bottom pair. Maybe he was trying to go for some kind of blocker play, given that I can never have anything stronger than top pair, just going for bet with a strong sizing, but he ended up not going for it. I doubt that was even his plan to begin with. Queen 10 in the cutoff, definitely good enough. 6-5 opening, not the greatest flop. I think just checking back and giving up is best here. He has quite a few hands that can call a c-bet, and we have so many hands that we want to c-bet. So like checking back and giving up sometimes is okay, of course. 6-5 is a good candidate. We hit an open-ended on the turn though. I actually don't mind folding too much. The chances of us hitting our straight isn't that high, and I don't think we're getting automatically paid just because we hit. So I think folding is okay. The only times I think making a play here is better is if we expect him to have like a lot of air in this spot, which is conceivable, I guess, but I don't know. Folding is okay, calling is okay, raising, not so okay, since I don't expect him to fold top pair. I hope I don't raise there, that would be embarrassing. No, I call, but calling is okay. Folding is okay as well. He keeps on betting on the jack. His sizing looks like it might be for value, probably a decent queen. He could even have a jack, but if he had a jack, I expect him to go a little bit bigger. So, I mean, we could raise here, trying to represent a jack. But at the same time, so many draws missed that he might be suspicious. So, given the fact that he can have a jack in his range, and that we have a lot of air in our range, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit ambitious to bluff in this spot. So I think folding's best. Ace-9, a family pot perhaps. Ace-9 is too weak to isolate. Just gonna check if he completes. Just gonna check it down. Hope for the best. Ace-3, we can call this. It's not like a fantastic spot. There are no fish in the hand, it seems. We're often gonna be dominated. But it can't be that bad. We have good odds, etc. Have some backdoors now. Wonder what this guy has. He only bets half pot. It doesn't look like he has a king too often. Like, sometimes maybe, but it more looks like he has some kind of middling hand, or I don't know, even like ace-x or something, but check raising doesn't make much sense. I think we might even get called by if he has a pocket pair, so folding is probably the better play. Vice might be planning something as well. He's thinking about it. Yes, here we go. His top set is being tricky. Skunk kick, instant half pot bet again. We're opening Jack 8 in the cutoff. It's quite standard, I guess. 3 betting 9s. I think it's close-ish, to be honest. Like I think calling is okay versus some opponents, but this guy seemed a little bit on the loser side, or like I don't know. Small blind seems a bit on the loose passive side, but still like a regular. I think he's 30-18 or something. So like he has a really small attempt to steal percentage and that, but a really high call 3-bet percentage, as well as quite a large disparity between VPIP and PFR. That seems to indicate that he's a bit on the callier side. So I think 3-betting is okay then. But other than that, I think like 3-betting 9s often just gets us in trouble. Because if they 4-bet, then what are we gonna do? I guess we're gonna shove, but like whenever we get called, we're just hoping that he has ace-king, and more often than not, just shows up with like kings, and we're dead. So I think in general, like calling 9s versus, and even 10s sometimes too, like I think that's often the better play. They both fold. We're isolating 6s here, which is standard, of course. The regular on our left calls. I know this guy. He's quite on the aggro side. Doesn't like to fold. Very sticky. He can have pocket pairs. That's what I expect him to mostly have. He can sometimes have some broadways and some ace-jacks, some ace-queens perhaps. These kinds of hands. So versus that range, it's a far ahead, far behind spot, kind of. And we're, I don't know, pretty far. I think we're behind pretty often. So I think just checking and trying to get to showdown is best. Hoping he has king queen or something. Jack 10 suited. Yeah, I know the problem is that he's gonna bet a lot of turns, but if the turn is a true blank, like a deuce or something, then I think he doesn't stab that often. but if the turn is like an 8 or a 10 or a jack, then I expect him to stab very often. So I don't know, it's not a great spot in general. So he bets quite big on the turn, and I think folding is best. Okay, we got 2 more hands. Sorry, gonna pause. There we go. Top left table, we defend King 7 versus button raise. Very standard. Calling is better than 3-betting, I think. King 7 just plays well in single raise spots. So we check call flop with top pair and flush draw, standard. Turn is diamond, ace of diamond, so we have a flush. We're planning on check calling, I guess, but he's actually, I think check folding turn might be good. Anyways, he checks back the turn, so we're probably good here. We might go for a small little cheeky value bet on the river, but I don't mind checking. Like, he can definitely have a 10 high flush or something of that sort. So I think, actually, yeah, I think checking river is probably best. So yeah, check folding turn versus most sizing, and check evaluating. That's a lazy answer, but I don't know, it depends on his sizing on the river if he bets. Bottom right we have King 10. He 3-bet pre-flop, we call. Very standard unless they're really nitty. Flop 2 pair, unfortunately he checks. At this point I think we just have to stab and hope for the best. Hope he has queens and not like ace 8. Top right, king queen, we call the small blind versus a raise from cutoff, I think it was. Same here, like some people advocate 3-betting. I think that's pretty bad. So we call, we flop middle pair, we check, he checks, turn goes check as well, and river we decide to just check again. Some people might go for a value bet on the river, but I think that's bad. I think it's much better to let him bluff, because when we check 3 streets, it really doesn't look like we have ace-x or something of that sort. It looks like we have a suited connector, or like a small pocket pair, or unpaired hands. So when we check 3 streets, I think it's really tempting for him to try and throw out a little bet to get us to fold those really weak hands. So I think that's more common than him hero calling Jack 10 suited or something like that. So I hope we check on the river, but oh wow, that's shaky. We bet 4 into 20. I think that's okay as well. Like, he might call us with a lot of 1-pair hands. I think betting more than 10 would be a mistake. But betting this small is, I don't know, it's not that beautiful, but I think he gets the work done. He actually had a flush on the flop already. He had the 10 high. 10's on the bottom, just calling. He opened so early, so. We're isolating 5s in the cutoff when he limps from middle position. It's probably the loosest hand I would isolate, but the guy to my right just has proven himself to be quite a beginner, so to speak. So yeah, I think it's okay, but it's definitely on the loser side to isolate 5s here, but I think it's okay. We could make a case for just limping behind, but then people just stab or like raise so often. Just sucks. Yeah, that's not the greatest flop for us. Checking back and hoping to get to showdown. BB guy. Oops, sorry. BB guy donks turn very big, so just folding. Folding like there's no tomorrow. Wow, this hand seems to be getting really big. So what even happened here? Damn it. Now it's out of their hands. Okay, they both had king queen. I think they raised on the flop and he called. Oh, what? How did they get so much money with king queen? Interesting. Opening king jack suited on the gun. On the loser side, but I think it's good. Looks so beautiful when it's suited. Can't really resist. Ace 10. I think the whale to our right might be inclined to complete. Yes, he did. So yeah, I'm just gonna make it quite big, since we're gonna be out of position and these guys are huge fishes. So trying to get as much money in as possible when I'm pretty sure I'm ahead. Yeah, we're going three-way. That's quite a good flop for us. But it's very dangerous, so gonna make a very large c-bet. Yeah, he donks out. That looks very weak to me. But like, it's too dangerous to call and hope he continues. So just gonna raise and hope he has 7-8, because he's happy sacking off 7-8 here, I'm sure. I think that's the best play. Yeah, making it quite big as well. $5-8, perfectly fine candidate for 3-betting. Queen 10, I think it's best to complete. It's an interesting flop for us. We have like a double gutter. No, open-ended, sorry. But the catch is that if we hit the jack, then we have the best rate possible. So I think we might like win a lot of money if we hit a jack. So I'm not really looking to check fold this, but at the same time I think stabbing is a little bit ambitious, because I think it has between 0 and 2% chance of working on the flop. So I mean, even though we have a decent hand, then like just checking and hoping that it gets checked through is probably the better play. Still. We call 5 deuce. This is a little bit loose, but he opened from the cutoff with a min raise, and he's proven himself to be a little bit of a suboptimal player. So I think we can make a case for calling 5 deuce, and especially given that we flop 2 pair, we can defend it. So that's good. But let's see what happens. So Queen 10 actually gets checked through, which is nice. But we miss, and at this point the value of our draw has gone down significantly. So I might just check fold versus some sizing, check call versus some sizing, I don't know, it depends. With a 5 deuce, I think we're gonna check raise here, because versus fishes, they are more likely to call light than they are to barrel light. So I think we just gotta hope that he has a pair, and then just try to maximize value versus that. So just make a big check raise, because you know he's never going to fold a pair on the flop. So try to get as much money as possible in on the flop before it gets dangerous. So gonna make a big check raise here. Well, wasn't that big. I could have made it even bigger. But 6 to 28, it's pretty big, I guess. Queen 10 we miss, unfortunately. Perhaps our Queen High is good. Once in 100 years. Okay, so he calls. He definitely has like a queen or jacks or something of that sort. Maybe even kings. Either way, we just have to go big, very big, before an ugly river comes. Just want to get him committed as well, because the board looks so innocent right now. I don't think he's capable of folding a queen. So I hope that I bet really big here. I don't remember. It looks promising though. I have 58 selected. Yeah, that's good. I bet almost pot. Top right, we see bet the flop, which is standard. He calls, turn is pretty bad. He has a full house now, a lot of the time. Checking back. Hoping that he has like pocket pair, small pocket pair. That would be good. Okay. So river is an ace, which isn't the best card. I think he has ace queen like pretty often. He also has aces sometimes, queens sometimes. And this fish could even have 4-3 here. Who knows? But the pot is still like 180 euros, and we only have 128 left. 127. I think we should just shove and hope he hero calls us with kings or king queen. Because I still think that he has more hands that we beat than hands that beat us. So just gotta close our hands and make a little prayer and then shove. He doesn't snap call, so that's always a good sign. Bottom right, we check back this hand. I usually see bet middle pairs, but on this board it just looks like we're giving up a lot when we check back. So I think he's likely to stab. So we check back and we hit trips on the turn, but the flush is out there. But anyways, we call. Raising is obviously too ambitious, and the river is yeah, it's a blank. And let's see what happens. Yeah, he bets big. I think folding here is pretty clearly best. I don't expect him to be bluffing, because it looks like we have a jack here a decent amount of the time. I also think that if he's trying to fold up like the ace of diamond and something, or like 10x, I think he doesn't need to make it this big. When he makes it this big, it just looks like he's trying to get maximum value from a jack, and that's just my general population read, so to speak. But I think it's quite accurate. I think he very often has a flush or better, or straight, I guess. So I think folding here is fine. We could make a case for raising, trying to represent a full house, but not sure which full houses we can represent. And he can also have a full house himself, so that seems a little bit ambitious as well. Queens we're getting 3-bet. He's a bit on the tighter side. We could 4-bet, but I think when he shoves we often get it in versus kings, aces or ace king, and I think there's a lot of value in just calling, letting him bluff on the flop. Not the greatest flop though, we don't really want to see a king or an ace. In the 5 deuce hand he ended up folding, so probably had a queen since he timed out for so long. He was half pot, so we have to call at least one street. He checks back. At this point, I expect to be good 80% of the time, even more, possibly. I don't really expect to get called if we bet very often. Sometimes he has like ace 10 or something stupid. But by checking, I think he never bluffs. So, like, neither option is great, but we sometimes get called at least by betting, so I think that's best. We want to make it a sizing that makes it possible that we actually had Queen Jack or Queen 9 or Ace Jack or Ace Queen, something like that is now trying to bluff. So we don't want to make it too small, because then, I don't know, it just looks so value heavy. So I decided to go for 30. I think it might be a little bit too small still. But I don't know, it's hard. He's never gonna call either way, so doesn't matter really, I guess. Thinking about it though, no, he folds. Okay, so in the 5th hand, I think we called. No, did we raise pre-flop? Yeah, we must have raised pre-flop. So we raise pre-flop, we probably c-bet flop. When he calls the flop, we expect him to have 8s or 9s, or like a float perhaps, a lot of the time, but we're just trying to get to showdown, and when he bets the river and this sizing, I think just folding is best. On the other hand though, I mean, what can he have? Like, you wouldn't bet this big with a pocket pair, and he shouldn't have too many kings. Those should bet the turn. I don't really think he makes this sizing with a jack. So, I don't know, it definitely looks a bit bluffy, but at the same time, people never bluff when they check back turn. Like, it's just so unusual. And whenever I think they can't have any value hands, they just have the single combo value hand they can possibly have. So, I think folding is good in these games at least. We back up, and we have a sexy red line as well. So we have achieved both the most important goals for the session. I don't think there's too much material left. Oh, there's only a couple of seconds left actually. Let's see if there are... No more interesting hands. Okay, that was it for the second video. I think this one was a little bit shorter, but well, that's good. I think the last one got a little bit too long. When they're upwards of 50 minutes, it's a little bit much. But I hope you enjoyed this second video as well. There were some interesting hands in this one, I think, as well. But anyway, just let me know what you thought of the video below, and if you have any questions about any hands that I played, or if you think I played any hands wrong, then feel free. Anyways, have a good day everyone, and I'm signing out. Good day.